Project Amanat Negara 2020. My name is Idris, and I have the privilege of being here with Ms Abir Abdul Rahim today. Before I proceed with my questions, I'd like to extend my gratitude to Ms Abir for being here. And I must say, I really enjoyed your presentation today. It was really, really insightful and inspiring.
Thank you.
So, shall I start with the questions?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So, firstly, to start a platform such as Lean in Malaysia, focusing on female empowerment is really something that's admirable and inspiring. What motivates you daily, and what does it mean to be a woman in the 21st century?
For me, what motivated me was based on my personal experience, as I shared it earlier. When I came back from studies and I straight away went into the workforce, whereby I was struggling to find women leaders in Malaysia itself. And I wanted to be validated as someone who's ambitious, but not based on my gender. But the same is not being translated into society. That's not how the society works, especially in Malaysia, because we are a very conservative society still. So when I was going on and on talking about my ambitions when it comes to career, that was when they start, I've got society telling me that, hey, your role as a woman is supposed to be in the kitchen. It was very upsetting to still hear those kind of remarks, and that really shakes my own confidence level, and it makes me question my own self-worth. Am I not good enough to take on the leadership positions? If I want to become CEO, for example, will I not get it, or will I have challenges to get to it? So it was all motivated to wanting to change the mentality of the society, and that's when my girlfriends and I, the members, we came together and we wanted to talk about the issues out loud and create awareness on, hey, there are challenges that women are facing, but also we put up front leaders who are successful, women leaders who are successful, because as role models to younger generation, right? Because I think for us, we are easily influenced by what we see in people. So we were talking about challenges, we were talking about success stories, and today we're a member of 5 years later, we're a member of 5,000 members, and we find ourselves still being relevant to the cause of women empowerment in the country because we take it from an economic point of view. We do this on voluntary basis. So that's my motivation, and I could also say that's the motivation by some of our members as well. We want to change the conversations, right? So for the past 5 years, it was creating awareness, coming up with programs to produce tangible results. What's our success factors? That's when we came up with accelerators and mentorship program, where we know women are dropping out, but we get them back to the workforce. But now, after 5 years, we're looking at changing the conversation into policies. So that's why Lean in Malaysia is, being present at Parliament level. At the same time, talking about Sexual Harassment Act and Gender Equality Act. We want to be part of the policy making in the country.
Well,
yes.
that's just really something that's really awe-inspiring, and it ties down to my next question, which with the material that you've brought up. So according to the 2018 Malaysia Labour Force survey, about 60.2% of women who are not employed cited housework, including child and elderly care, as the main reason for not seeking work. How can women in Malaysia progress and be encouraged to have a balanced relationship to achieve 50-50 partnership in a household?
I think number one, it does start from home. I feel empowerment really starts from home. If you can't have 50-50 equal partnership at home, how are we talking about 50-50 at company level or at country level, right, national level? So based on my experience of running Lean In, you need to talk to your spouse. You need to talk to your spouse, and you need to have a shared responsibility of taking care of your children. We need to, the awareness of what your children see in your leadership by running the household is what you're going to expect the next generation is going to become. So if younger generation, if your children is always seeing your husband is the one who's earning the income, but you're not doing anything, and that would continue. If, let's say, this trend continues, we won't ever achieve 50-50 representation, right, of women and men. So number one, we need to talk to our husbands, and husbands need to talk to their wife. I think in today's world, it's very realistic to have a double income for a household. It doesn't work if you have your single income, right? So, but how do we do that? Equal partnership means that sometimes the spouse can take a break, be the one who picks up the children from school if they're sick, and take turns. And we are seeing this awareness happening, especially for young parents. So the younger parents are the ones that believe in this kind of practice. But however, it's not the same as our, forefathers, right? So I think our parents also still believe that, there's this mentality. But as the younger generation, as we are going to be the one taking over the workforce and stuff, it's pleasant to see, but a lot more can be done. So it starts from family. You can, talk about it, have a discussion, negotiate and all that. But at the same time, the system needs to be friendly to accommodate and facilitate to this change. So for example, if let's say both parents are working, right, we need to make sure there's affordable, quality and available childcare centers around the vicinity that is accessible for younger parents to send their kids while they're working. But we're not seeing this present in the system at the moment. So for example, yes, every ministry has got a childcare center. So that works for the public sector, right? For the private sector, you're seeing 13% of top PLCs have got childcare centers. So how are we talking about a friendly system that, a system that is friendly to accommodate to both men and women, to excel in their career if this is still this number is still at 13%, right? So that's another thing. The system needs to be changed. Number one, at family level, you need to have that discussion openly. Number two, the system needs to be changed. And I think the incentives that Dr. M mentioned earlier is good, right? But I feel that you need to create value instead of incentivizing. There are two things. You incentivize, but you need to create valuable jobs as well. So if you are paying a career breaker 500 ringgit and 300 ringgit to the company to take on the career breaker, but you're still seeing a dropout because that's not what the career breakers want. That does not jive with the work-life balance that they are looking for, right? So I think at national level, we need to, both public and private sector need to come up with more creative policies to not just incentivize, but create value-added job creation. Yeah.
So you've touched on about how making an impact from home and also from the education policies. But would you say that the mindset of the people is a very significant factor that arguably slows down our growth towards gender equality?
Yes, I do agree to some extent. Because having done Lean for the past 5 years, I'm seeing different groups of people. There is a group of people, especially when it comes to youth, for example. When it comes to youth, the people running our Lean Youth, they are aware, as I said, gender equality is, gender awareness is increasing in the urban youth especially. But then you go to social media and you read things on Twitter. That's when you see, hey, this mindset is still there. You talk about how women should dress. You talk about, those rape victims is because of women punya dressing. And then you talk, and then the mentality is still there. And I think the mentality it goes back to our culture, right? We need to change the mindset. Not just at the urban level, but also at the rural level. Yes, rural areas, as mentioned by Dr. M, B40, they are more hardworking, and they've got like 3 to 4 child. But then you still know that the rape cases in rural areas is still high, right? So it's still tough to change the mentality tau. And what we need to do is just to talk about it, and we need to always talk, create awareness, show them the results of if, let's say, you allow your wife to work and if you change your lifestyle, you'll be able to have a happy family, right? A prosperous family where your children would be able to think that when it comes to leadership, there's no such thing as men and women. A leader is a leader, right? It's the value that you carry. Yeah.
Now, linking back to what you touched on, because you touched on about empowerment. So gender equality campaigns such as #MeToo movement has been on the rise for the past 5 years. How impactful do you think campaigns like these have been?
I think it has been impactful. There's positive impact, there's negative impact. The positive impact is more awareness is created, which is good. So 5 years ago, when we came to the picture, Linen Malaysia, a lot of companies did not have these policies, or they don't have a leadership track that is catered for women. I mean, awareness was still not picked up 5 years ago, right? But then 5 years now, there's awareness, and a lot more companies are coming up with friendly policies towards mother to make sure that they are retained in the workforce and to make sure that they come back to the workforce, right? So with this movement in the world, #MeToo movement, #HeForShe, there is an impact whereby we are showing that women are speaking up and women are asking for a seat at the table, because we have a seat at position ladder, at what they call that, leadership positions, right? And we shouldn't be defined by our culture, we shouldn't be defined by our gender. However, there is also the negative impact from #MeToo movement and #HeForShe. Sensitivity is heightened. So, more male employers are quite scared. There's a study on this. So male employers are quite scared to be left alone with a female employee, because they are afraid they'd be seen as sexual harassment. Yeah. So I think the awareness is good, but we need to educate more. We need to educate society what it means by doing this whole #MeToo movement, But it shouldn't be at the expense of women. We're supposed to be at the advantage, right? So, I wanted to say something, but I forgot. #MeToo movement, #HeForShe, the impact, negative, positive. Yeah, so, I forgot, lost my train of thought. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a positive and negative impact, and we need to educate them more. So one education, remember. So one part of education, right? For example, you have this rising issue. #MeToo is all about sexual harassment, kan? Yes. So you have this rising issue about sexual harassment, but people, if you Google it, there's no definite definition of sexual harassment, but people don't understand. Sexual harassment is all about not giving consent, and or it's unwelcome gestures, right? So it's all that, but then the sensitivity comes to the picture, saying that, hey, if I want to compliment you, is that okay, or is that considered as sexual harassment? So it's really putting more barriers for women, for women, right? So I think education needs to be, the society needs to be educated. Number one, what we can do is talk about gender equality at education level in our education system. This syllabus needs to be put in, because otherwise, you always see this problem, right? And you can come up with all this women's march, #MeToo movement, if society is not educated, and then people are going to take things wrongly.
Now, Ms. Abir, let's take a trip back to history for a bit. As a UKC alumni like yourself, you've lived through the demanding nature of the work that one faces from being part of UKC. If there's one thing that you could say you took away from UKC, what would it be and why?
I would say, yes, the work is demanding. You're right. For people who are not in London, we have to travel down to London every now and then. But for me, it was fruitful and beneficial in a way that it benefited me when I started working. It helped, especially when it comes to, communication skills, stakeholders management. As UKEC members, you are exposed to CEOs, the heavyweights of the company, and you learn how to converse with them and communicate with them. That is a skill that would be very beneficial for us, once we enter the workforce. Number one, networking is a valuable item for every fresh grad to have. You can have a string of credentials, like a string of A's and stuff like that. But if you don't know anyone, the doors open for you would be very limited, right? So yes, it's hard work, but it really pays off by the end of the day in terms of your soft skills, your leadership skills, your organizational skills. You know more people. So how it benefited me was when I entered the workforce, I was already equipped with the soft skills, and I was able to talk about current issues like on intellectual level, because I think that's what exposed all of us to it. And that got me my Agung scholarship, because they asked about current issues and stuff, and I was like, just finished MSLS, and okay, they asked about high income income, the income gap and all. And then that also helped me in establishing Linen, because we had to pitch Linen to all these companies for fundraising. Then I had networks, I have like a strong network, and that's when, when the employers know you, they'll open the door for you. Yeah, so it has helped me a lot in terms of my career. So my advice to everyone who's part of UKEC is that keep on doing these things because it is very beneficial for you after, once you start working. Do not let do not do things at the expense of others. Yeah, I don't know whether this is off record or not, but sometimes things get in the way, there's office politics and stuff like that. But these are the kind of values and people that you are going to be exposed in the real world, and it helps you know how to handle these people as well. So UKEC for me is like a pre-mini, what do you call that? Like a dry run of the workforce. Yeah, so just enjoy the experience, right? Just enjoy the experience and just make sure that you carry good values as you run UKEC. Don't do things at the expense of others. Collaborate instead of dividing yourself. Unite instead of dividing yourself. And just enjoy the process.
Ms. Abir, thank you so much for attending this interview. I really enjoyed interviewing you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Idris.